Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another new episode of About Skateboarding. Now, if you're new here, my name is Sean. I do daily videos, daily episodes of about the sport of skateboarding, and I kind of just share my thoughts, my opinions about skateboarding, and just kind of dive into the whole universe of the whole world about skateboarding itself. If you like what you see, then definitely subscribe for more and give the video a like. And you can also listen to everything also as well over on Spotify and over on Apple Podcasts as well. Now, in today's video, I was actually making some new content and just kind of creating some new lists for other videos in the future, and kind of just stumbled onto the concept of just the ways that skateboarding changes your life when you don't even realize it in some ways, or just the way that it changes who you are and your interaction with the world in a way. I know it's very, very deep really fast, but just the way that skateboarding really evolves you as a human being, which you may not even realize is happening. And that's why I love it. That's why I love the sport of skateboarding, because it did that for me as a kid, and it does it for me as an adult too. So I kind of just made a list here of just, it's not it's not like exclusive to these things, but just just an overall list of things that I think that came out of my head really quickly for what it did for me as well. And I'd love it actually if you shared what you thought about it, everything, and your own reasons too, in the comments below as well for everyone watching on YouTube. So for one thing, I want to say that, and this is one of the bigger ones for me, I feel like, especially since I've been skateboarding since I was about 4 or 5 years old. Overall, that's when I took it a little bit more seriously, and it was more than just a hobby overall. But is that for me, it really does, and this is in a general way, it just challenges you on every single trick. And the reason why it shows this, or I kind of wanted to put this as a reason, is because I feel like that no matter how good you are or how long you've been skateboarding or whatever it is, I feel like that no matter how long you've been doing it for, that you can still be challenged on a trick you've known how to do for an infinite amount of time every single day. And the best way I can put this into a detail or into an explanation is how whenever I watch the whole SLS Street League skateboarding, and it's because it's usually the same top 5 or 10 skaters from around the world for the most part on those contests. And it's a really interesting vibe and interesting thing to watch when one of the skaters is having an off day, because you can really tell they're having an off day and they have to fight through it in this really awkward contest force format, so to speak. And I think it's really cool because there's always someone who's having a rough day, whether it is the jet lag of traveling and flying, or just the weirdness of the park layout, or just maybe they don't feel good, or they have a recovery from a recent injury or whatever it might be. There's always some skater, at least one, who's having a weird day, and it's being filmed and live streamed and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit awkward for that too. But there's always someone in the contest having a rougher day than others that you have to kind of watch them fight through it. And there might be a lot of bails from them, so to speak, or they just might just be challenged overall. And that is one of the things I love about skateboarding, as weird as that sounds, is because it really does force you to always be kind of on your game, even when you can't be. And what I mean by that essentially is there will be tricks that you learn as a kid that you still, no matter how many times you've landed one, where you just have a day where you can't land it. And so for me, that's a kickflip. I'll put it that way. For me, that's a kickflip, because a kickflip took me forever, months to learn how to do it. And then when I finally got it, it still wasn't consistent. And that wasn't when I was a teenager. And then even into my 20s, it was still probably 3 out of 5 tries I would get it. And it was never really always that clean and that kind of thing too. And that's one of the things that's cool about, it challenging you no matter what, is that it also shows up a lot into a lot of professional skateboarding videos. I kind of talked about this in my video earlier, where I really, really enjoy watching, not the bails, but just the process, the journey of watching a skater in a video do the same trick over and over and over again until they get it into the absolute best clean landing and clean what's the word for, just clean way of it looking. Because I feel like that by itself is a very, very exclusive to skateboarding in general, because again, skateboarding is not a team sport. It is not reliant on anyone else at all besides yourself. It's a very individual journey. You might be on a team or traveling with someone, or with your best buddies skating together, but you're still, when it comes down to it, you're still doing your own thing, doing your own tricks at your own experience level, and nothing else compares to that in the world of this kind of area of a hobby or a job, whatever you want to call it. So I feel like the whole way it challenges you for that reason is it's a fun, exhausting, frustrating, challenging sport because it does it to you every single day. Because again, there will be days where you do a trick better than you've ever done before, and then and 2 days later you can't land one. And I don't know, it's just one of those weird things where it's like just how our bodies change every day, how we're feeling changes every day, where we're at every single day changes, and all that kind of stuff sometimes. So I just think it's one of the coolest things, and one of the most exhausting things about skateboarding is how it's every day it's a challenge in some cases, and it just goes to show how especially when you watch the contests, for example, how when these dudes show up and kill it in a contest and land everything in a 45-second run and do like the best trick contest and do all those super solid, like how good and how talented you have to be in those contests, because I know that the majority of skaters cannot do that or don't want to. They don't want that kind of pressure. So I feel like that's one of the best things about skateboarding overall is that it just challenges you every single day, no matter what, no matter how many times you've done a trick before, you can still always mess it up. And I think that's a very fun thing, and it's just kind of cool for what it's worth on its own. Now, the second thing I'm going to go into is, and these are not in any order, it's just things I thought of, but basically, and this kind of ties into the first one, but it always forces you to learn more, and it forces you to evolve as a human being. And so, again, it kind of ties into the other one for challenges every day, but I feel like it's a very, very big thing where I feel like with skateboarding, and this is not anything specific like tricks or whatever it might be, but I feel like it's a very... like there's always more you can do with the trick. There's always more ways you can evolve it. There's always more just evolution of it. And that to me is what keeps skateboarding so original and so fulfilling, is that you can go anywhere in the world, and then the trick that you've known how to do forever seems almost new again because of the fact that you've never done it down that obstacle or that gap or that ramp or whatever it might be, that railing. It's just as comfortable as you might be doing it. There's always a new challenge out there that can challenge you again, or a new way that you can do it, or a new way that you can approach it. And that to me is one of the raddest things about it as well, is that it's a never ending fulfillment battle. Because again, I feel like that's one of the coolest things about skateboarding, and I'll say this in so many videos, and it's probably going to be cliche if it isn't already, but again, that's one of the most fulfilling things about skateboarding, is that we are on really our own journeys of how to evolve ourselves as human beings, and then that all of that within itself, on how it forces you to challenge yourself, and you want to naturally usually progress your skating to the next level at all times, that really does come and impact you as a human being into your everyday life. By adding more patience, more drive, more commitment, a lot of those things that like people look at for like jobs, things like that. I'll put it that way. Like if you just choose to skate only as a hobby, like I have, and just do it for fun, and just do it to keep you in shape a little bit, and to just pursue it for fun and just nothing at all serious, not any kind of monetary pleasure or nothing like that, is that it just challenges you and makes you a better human being. And not many other things on an individual basis do that, because a lot of like sports teams or team sports, you are in a different way. You're relying on other people to do your job as well as you can do it, that's a whole nother concept and a whole nother, conversation for another day. But that's why I love skateboarding so much, is because you don't have to have anyone else to guide you necessarily, and you're always not on your own, but you're always battling yourself for the next level you can get to. And that's so rad by itself, and I love that so much. I've always felt that even as a kid, when I was trying to learn even the most basic essential tricks of how to ollie or how to 50-50 a curve or whatever, that I was like, well, I've only done it wrong, so it's eventually I've got to get this down and get it right, and not for any other reason, not for anything external to yourself. It's always just just adding on like brick by brick by brick of just adding one. So I just love that feeling of fulfillment, because there's nothing really in the world to me that compares, I should say, to landing a trick for the first time. Not even cleanly necessarily, but just learning and landing a trick for the first time that you may have been attempting or trying to perfect for many, many, hours, days, weeks, months, years, or whatever it might be. But learning it and getting it down and then knowing that you couldn't do it before and you can now, and having that confidence builds is just so worth it to me on every basis too. So that's another thing I want to go into as well. Now, one of the other things too I want to mention, and this is more recent, I would say, now that since, especially since COVID and all those and all the whole like lockdown situation, and how I think a lot more people nowadays are a lot more kind of like socially anxious, is that skateboarding does, for the most part, force you to always meet new people. Because I feel like and I remember when I was a kid where I wasn't thinking about this reason like directly, but it made me think back and reflect to that point in time as well. Because, for example, when you go to a skate park and you know no one there, the cool thing about skating is that you already have like the icebreaker, so to speak. And I hate to use that word, but because it's a very jobby word, but really that's what's cool about skateboarding, is that it really gets you to meet and naturally talk to other people, other humans that you never would have possibly, and then it just kind of makes you, more respectful towards others, because you have no idea what people are like, and then all of a sudden you have this really cool thing of skateboarding being a shared value, a shared commitment, a shared hobby between the both of you, and or many people in that case, and then that just naturally expands who you are as a human being for just your circle of community. And really, when it comes down to it, skateboarding overall is really just a solid, healthy community that's very, very inclusive, which is one thing I love about it, is that no one cares at all about anything like that in skateboarding, or they shouldn't, I should say. It's a very communal, inclusive environment. It always has been, at least recently, like the last 20 years, I would say, or so. And it's just one of those things where I think that's really, really, especially nowadays with all the politics and all the divide that's going on like that, especially in the U.S. at least, that it's a very necessary, important thing to have, to where it's just where you don't feel like you're not thinking about those things when you're skateboarding. You're just thinking about the trick, or just being there with people that you enjoy being with, and the community aspect of it all. So I think it's very important as well. Now, another one, more recent one that I thought of that's more relevant to 2025 is that you are, for the most part, not looking at a phone screen or a computer screen. And although I know that a lot of like skate videos are filmed on phones nowadays, and this is kind of how it goes. But overall, when you are skating, doing the actual activity itself, for the most part, you're not looking at your phone. And just given how, how, I won't say popular, but how prevalent and how obsessive, I guess, our culture is now, at least in the U.S., about having a phone always on or always in front of you, or just using it for everything, in your life every single day. It is just still nice to have an activity or a hobby like this where you really can't be using your phone for it, because if you do, you're going to be either falling or getting someone else's way or getting hurt. I'm not talking about like listening to music or whatever, nothing like that, but just like overall, when you are skating, you can't be on your phone. And I thought about this reason today when I was making this list, is because I thought it kind of just shocked me how important it really was, because like I'm guilty of it too, but I'm on my phone a lot more than I ever wanted to be overall. And it's not even for things that aren't important. It's just for like things like, ordering dinner, or, getting groceries, whatever it might be, just daily stuff, and daily that's just easier to do on a phone nowadays, which is cool. But at the same time, I deeply love the fact that with skateboarding, you cannot be on your phone really much at all. It's not a good thing. You can't. It distracts you. It gets in the way. It gets in other people's way, and you can get hurt. I'll put it that way. Like, you can easily get hurt if you're on your phone skateboarding as well. Another reason I wanted to bring up it would be that skateboarding, that it just massively teaches you how to respect other people around you, and respect your surroundings, because when you are, and this is for no matter what type of skateboarding you're doing, whether it's at a skate park or out street skating, or just wherever you are in the world. It makes you just naturally have a respect for people, and it's mostly because I feel like with skating, it kind of makes you look at other people's talents and how they skate in the first place. And I think there's a very interesting kind of, at least for me, there was when I grew up skateboarding, where I feel like there was a very natural like naivety towards skating as far as like meeting new people with it, because I guess when you go to a skate park, or at least this is for me, like when I went to a skate park as a kid and I would see other people kind of ripping around and just doing crazy stuff, I was very, very, I don't say intimidated by them, but I was very much kind of like, oh, well, they're better than me, so they wouldn't want to talk to me. And it goes back to even having that, again, that like social anxiety of just being anxious and shy as a kid as I was. But what's cool about it is that once I did just ask someone for help with a trick or give them a compliment or give them respect of hey, that was a really rad whatever you just did. Like how did you do it? What tips and what advice do you have? As soon as you do that, most people in a skate park, which is again, it's cool because it doesn't really happen in many other places in the world these days. I feel like, at least not socially in a community. I feel like that people are much more naturally open to talking about skateboarding while they're skating. And I know that sounds really, really obvious and really cliche and really stupid, but I feel like in a lot of other places that doesn't really happen the same. I don't think you can really go to a sporting event of a different kind of football or baseball and just open hey, you seem cool, let's talk. It's just not the same thing. I don't know, it's just not the same thing. But at a skate park or out skating, you can easily compliment someone else's style and how they skate or just whatever they did. Maybe they just landed a really cool trick and you're hey dude, that was rad, good job, awesome, high five, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just it's just one of the cooler things about skating that really, to me, in this modern day 2025 does not really exist elsewhere overall as well. So, and then one of the final ones I probably almost appreciate the most out of this list that I made tonight is just the fact that it forces you to go out and see the world and travel, basically, and travel and skate other places. And I feel like this is one of those things where it does it, or it makes you do it without realizing you're doing it. And how I mean this is that basically I feel like a lot of people, especially these days, again in 2025, are a lot more nervous to go out and just travel and see new places and see new things and just sightsee and go experience new places of the world because of how, for sure, politics are involved a little bit there nowadays, especially, but just for how socially awkward we become as a society and as a world, as a planet, especially with our phones. Going back to that again, but it's just we're not as willing to go out and do that. And with skateboarding, I feel like it has always had the opposite effect as that, where I feel like once you, at least for me, once I learned a trick and mastered it, so to speak, in a skate park, I would naturally want to go outside of the park and try it somewhere else to see how far I could take it. And whether that was down the street off of a set of stairs or just somewhere else, a different city in my own area, in my own state, whatever, or traveling somewhere. Because I remember when I was a kid, I would always, when I traveled to a different state, whether it was a vacation or whatever, I would always bring my skateboard with me just to go street skating or just skate around the neighborhood, because I always wanted to try and just see what else there was to skate on. And that's one of the coolest, raddest things about the sport of skateboarding, is that it always makes you want to go experience new things and go skate new places, and just because it's fun. And it makes you feel like you've evolved as a skater, and you can skate more things. And maybe you see something I remember this happened to me too, where I remember when I was a kid, where I would be in the passenger seat in my car with my mom driving, and we'd be driving somewhere that we haven't been for a while, or just driving on a different road or whatever, and I would see a curb or see a set of stairs, and I want to go skate it. And that's why I think skateboarding is cool, because it makes you want to go out and you can experience the land that you live in. And again, it sounds very cheesy and cliche, but it is still very, very, very much the truth. So, and it's also made me want to travel internationally a lot too, which I did a lot in my 20s to skate too. Is that it makes you want to go to see that. And the best example of that to kind of hit me right now is that when you watch the skateboarding videos on YouTube nowadays, for the most part, which is where all these skaters are, going to other countries and skating these sometimes really famous skate spots, and then you want to go to those places and skate them, and it's fun because it's not it's like a admission thing. You don't have to pay to go there for the most part. I think that's really cool that you can go to travel somewhere and skate it, and just see the same place and just skate that. It's just cool. I know it's cool. So again, it's kind of just a small little non-direct list that I made of just the ways that I feel like skateboarding just has again changed my life overall for the most part. And this list will never ever be complete or end or finished or anything like that. But again, I would love to have you guys let me know in the comments below on YouTube here how skateboarding changed your life as well. It doesn't have to be anything on this list. It could be some things that are just more general, or anything else you want to mention too. But please give me some ways to change your life. I'd love to read those as well. Thank you as always for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.